in our community, all the way in Houston. The congressman that has made a difference in our community has made sure we understood that this was a very special ticket. It called for the support of Miss now our elect vice president, and obviously this current president. Congressman Al Green, we respect what you do and welcome you to a seat at the table. How are you?
I'm thankful and grateful to be at a seat at the table. And thank you for your very kind words. This is a very, very, very important day in the history of this country. We are about to see something that, quite frankly, I didn't think I'd see in my lifetime. 10 years ago, if someone had told me this, I would have absolutely dismissed it as fatuous folly.
When you think about it, the last time we spoke, you had a vision as well for our community. I don't want the community to forget that you are a true advocate for the accomplishment of the Black community. You're a true advocate for us moving our community and this country forward. Can you share with us now your vision, given that we now know whom and with whom you'll be working with moving forward?
Well, one of the centerpieces of what I think we need to accomplish is this, and it's called reconciliation. In 1868, there was an effort to reconcile, but Andrew Johnson as president was antithetical to the best interests of African Americans. At that time, these were the newly freed people in this country. And I have a piece of legislation that calls for a Department of Reconciliation with a Secretary of Reconciliation, a person who wakes up every day, goes to work with the mission of bringing about reconciliation. What does that mean? Ending invidious discrimination, ending all forms of hate and discrimination that we have put into a system. It is systematic, it is systemic. And I want to make sure that we end it. This person would be paid, be called a Secretary of Reconciliation, would have a budget. I have suggested that the budget be about 10% of the Defense Department's budget, but we'll negotiate that. The point is we need a Department of Reconciliation, but we also need a couple of other things that are important. There are many people in this country who work full-time at $7.25 an hour and live below the poverty line. I believe that we need a living wage. I have a piece of legislation styled the Living American Wage Act. It indexes the minimum wage to poverty, such that when the poverty level goes up, the minimum wage goes up. Minimum wage is always above the poverty level. People should not work full-time in the richest country in the world and not be able to take care of themselves and their families. Minimum wage of $15 an hour now, but always it will be above the poverty level. I also think that we've got to do something to absolutely ensure people that they're going to have health care. Health care is a birthright. It's not something that you acquire because you have wealth. And in this country, too often, health care, good health care, is wealth care. If you're wealthy, you're going to get it. You're a member of Congress, you're likely to get it. But I want everybody to get the same kind of care that I can get. So I have suggested that we do whatever we can to make sure that we protect pre-existing conditions, or we can modify the system that we have currently and do the things that we should have done, but we could not do under the prior administration. And finally, I would add this. There are people who are having their future stolen from them. When they go in to apply for a loan, and the loans are the bootstraps that people expect us to pull ourselves up by, when they go in to apply for a loan, they can be more qualified, but they'll still get less money and pay a higher interest rate than some others. And I'm talking about people of color applying for loans. So we've got to assure people of color that they can get the same opportunity to have those bootstraps necessary to start businesses, to buy homes, to send children to college, the same opportunities as others. And this piece of legislation literally penalizes a person who with intentionality denies a person a loan based upon who you happen to be, as opposed to whether you qualify for the loan.
Given your experience in Congress, what can we expect? We know who Joe Biden has been as vice president to obviously President Obama. But when we think about he and Senator Harris, what do you want us to understand about both their recollection and experience with us, the Black community?
Well, we know that Senator Harris has been a very strong proponent of the justice in policing legislation that we passed in the House. And there's some significant things in that piece of legislation. I won't go through it in its entirety, but it does make it easier to prosecute persons who hold public trust as peace officers when they commit crimes. It also will make it easy for us to acquire the evidence that we will need for those crimes in terms of body cameras. So we want people to not only have body cameras, but to have them on and functioning. So there's much more in there, but we know where she stands on this. But also she has a very strong human rights, civil rights component to her persona. And I believe that we can expect more in the area of human rights, civil rights from her. I think the John Lewis Voting Rights Act is going to receive the attention it deserves. As you know, I was in Congress when we saw President Bush sign it for 25 years. Supreme Court eviscerated a portion of it that made it ineffective. So I'm going to believe that we'll see her push for it. And I believe the new president will support these things that I've just called to your attention. And I would want you to know, and everybody to know this, he did something that really will make a difference in that he embraced the idea that there is systemic racism. He embraced that idea. He was not afraid to say this. And I think that's going to mean something because it, in a sense, legitimizes having other people, the Al Greens of the world, say it. I've been saying it for some time, so has Senator Harris. But when it comes from the top, it means something. The tone and tenor is set by the person at the top. And if the person at the top says there's systemic racism in this country, then we have to do something about it. For many years, we didn't have to do anything because there was denial. If you deny that there's no climate problem, then you don't have to do anything about it because you say it doesn't exist. But once you say that there is a problem, then you're obligated to do something. Once we have now said that there is a problem with systemic racism, invidious discrimination in all of its various forms, now we have to do something about it. And I'm appreciative that Mr. Biden did not shy away from it. As a matter of fact, I know of no other person running for president who said the person who was running in the opposition party was a racist. I know this is a time for celebration, but you asked me a question, and I'm known to give candid answers when questions are posed. So that's my candid answer. But I do want to acknowledge that this is a time to be grateful that we have been able to get the 270 votes necessary for us to move forward and have a new administration come in that can bring some degree of decorum that won't cause people to live in fear of what other people may do to them. Many people who are concerned about what could happen on their jobs. I think that this new administration will bring about a new tone and tenor for the country. We'll still have great work to do, and a part of that great work is going to start with Georgia. We have got to get into Georgia and get those 2 senators elected, because if we don't, we will find our efforts being thwarted by the same person that has thwarted our efforts in this Congress. Mr. McConnell is the place where bills will go, and they never seem to come out of the dark place that they go into. We need to make sure that we have 50 votes in the Senate, because the vice president can break all ties, and then we can move legislation. I want to be a unifying force. I want to make sure that we do all that we can to unify. And one of the things that we can do to have cooperation and reach consensus is to have those 50 votes in the Senate.
Notice you're wearing a mask. Do you believe that there should be a mask mandate or some type of policy coming from the top, just so that we could understand the importance of masks?
The importance of seatbelts became very apparent when we had a mandate. People wear their seatbelts now. There's some who don't, but for the most part, we have a lot of cooperation when it comes to seatbelts. And there were people who would say, well, why do I have to wear a seatbelt? It's just me. If I want to risk my life, it's okay. Well, it's really not okay, because if you risk your life and you're hurt, then someone's going to take care of you. If you don't have insurance, it's going to come out of the pockets of the people who do have insurance and who are taxpayers. They're going to make sure that we don't leave you in the street. So we have to pay for your health care. And if you did have insurance, we still would have to help afford your health care, because insurance rates go up when you have a lot of people who are hurt And everybody has to chip in to cover all of these losses. Same thing with this coronavirus, COVID-19. We have to see this as Dr. King put it. Life is an inescapable network of mutuality tied to a single garment of destiny. What impacts one directly impacts all indirectly. So if you get the COVID virus, or if I get it, I then can spread it to others. If we don't have contact tracing, we don't have the opportunity to stop it and to make sure that it doesn't spread without some degree of effort to thwart its spreading. But then we also have to make sure that we don't spread it. And the way that we do this is with a mask. The mask is not perfect. There are people who have acquired the virus and who have had masks on. But for the most part, one of the best ways that scientists tell us to thwart this virus is to wear a mask and to maintain social distancing. So I have my mask on. My colleague who's working with me has her mask on. We're going to do everything that we can to protect each other. So to answer your question, if we mandate it, we probably won't see these large crowds of people gathering without masks. I think that we have to protect people from themselves sometimes, and a mandate would be a way to do this. Now, how can the president mandate it? I'm going to leave that to the president to work out. There are ways to do this because states have great amount of authority over these issues. I'm going to leave it to the president to work with the various states. He says that he wants to bring people together. I think that this will be a part of that, getting people to understand that there can be consequences for not wearing the mask beyond the spread of the disease, maybe personal consequences.
Well, we want to thank you for coming to see the table. The last question is, should he start now or can he afford to wait till January?
Oh my goodness, well, thank you for asking. Yesterday would be an appropriate time to start. I think that, be quite candid with you, this vice president has been around this block before, and he understands the necessity to have a quick start, the necessity to have in place people and programs, if you will, that can lead to results. So I think that there already has been an effort to get us off to a good launch. And my belief is that given what he knows about the process, given that he's aligned himself with former President Obama, given that he has a senator who knows her way around the Senate, who's going to be able to span the chasm between the White House and the Senate and the Congress, I think that they'll be off to a good start. I don't know that it'll be a perfect start. You always have some things to happen when you're dealing with things at the magnitude that they'll be dealing with them. But I do believe that it'll be a start that will be worthy of giving a fair chance to move forward. I'm going to support this ticket. I supported it up to now. I'm going to continue to support it. I was a supporter of Senator Harris when she ran for president, proud to say it. And I'm going to continue to support this ticket because I think there are great opportunities available to us. We have to work hard to succeed, but at least we now have the opportunity to succeed. And I look forward to the opportunity. And by the way, I'm very grateful to you. You have a program that reaches corners that I could never get into, places I could never get into, tables that I could never reach, but for your giving me this opportunity. So I'm eternally grateful. And I thank you for the service that you rendered. You have played a role in bringing us to this point. Make no mistake about it. When an election is as close as this one is and has been, it means that you've done some things that have been very beneficial. So I'm grateful to you and thank you very much for all that you do.
Well, I want to look forward to you coming to Georgia to motivate us and support. When you get here, let us know. Obviously, we look forward to an op-ed too, because we want you to start to let the community know what your vision is. Share it, if you would, with rolling out in the future. We want to thank you, Al Green, Congressman Al Green, for all of you out there who has made a great difference in Houston and obviously in Washington, D.C. We thank you for your service and your continued armor that you actually bear as you move forward to defend our community and actually represent us in a way that we cannot do for ourselves, but through you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, dear brother. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you have spent time with us this evening. It is time for you to understand that this is not the last moment. We will not be served until we serve ourselves. This is a moment for us to get our seat at the table. There are two seats up for U.S. Senate. It is now time. The race has started. So all of you who know someone in Atlanta, know somebody in Georgia, reach out, get excited. Let's get energized. It's blue, but let's make it so that there are two blue seats in the Senate. I'm Munson Steed. This is a seat at the table. You do not have to be in the streets, but you must be in the struggle. I'll see you again on a seat at the table.